Yay! Hey there, Soul Shine. My name is Michelle, and I am inviting you to wake up and live. And today we're going to be talking about God and the universe, some of the beliefs out there, and how I feel about them. Of course, I'm always allowing you to believe as you wish. I'm super excited to be live because yesterday I tried to get on and didn't work. So I was like, man, I even tried going upstairs in a weird background just to be closer to the router to see if that would resolve the issue. Craziness. So God, there is this concept out there that we are all God. And when you really follow the people that believe this concept and you take it down, it basically says there is no God. That's really what it boils down to. There's no God because it's been a concept that's been very challenging for me to look at and accept. I recently was reading a book, and this is what I decided to do. I decided to ask. So the book comes out. We are all God. We are all one. There's this idea that we're just pieces of God, and it's really kind of I don't know, it's almost a sad idea for me, that this idea that we're just fragments of gods, we're just pieces of God. Um, which really to me kind of sends the message of you're just this little piece of some being that wanted to experience things. And that just doesn't even make sense to me. Um, I do understand why the concept of one God, we're all one. I understand kind of where that comes from. So I'm going to kind of give my perspective. Um, it's just really interesting. So here's what happens when I hear an idea that doesn't make sense to me, that I'm not understanding, either because it just totally goes against everything I believe. I turn to my God. I go in prayer. It doesn't have to be God. It can be the higher power. It can be your own self. Whatever your beliefs are, you can do the same kind of a thing. And I just ask for the highest truths. And I allow myself to be open to being completely wrong about everything I've believed, which is kind of a scary thing to do when you have actually been a borderline, if not completely OCD. There's a type of OCD that actually has to do with being perfect for God. It's this, I can't remember the name of it, but it's a type of OCD that can be really damaging because it's all about having to be perfect for God. You can never be perfect and all this kind of thing. So I've had this experience. So then to go and ask in openness to the possibility that the God that I believe in doesn't actually exist, that's really scary. But I choose to do it because I want to receive truth. So whether or not what I say has anything, if it resonates with you or not, is irrelevant, as long as you take that concept. When you hear concepts, ask for the highest version of the truth. And in some way or another, you will receive. If you ask for the highest version of truth, I ask the God, I say, God of the Most High, please give me the highest truth. And so I was reading earlier this week. I'm reading this book. I still feel inspired to read this book. I feel like there are things that I need to know in this book. But I was really struggling through this whole chapter on God and the universe. And so he's talking about we're all God, and how because we're all God, we're all one. Because we're all one, it just boils down to we're just thoughts. Okay. Thoughts, yes, our thoughts create our reality. I 100% agree with that. I also believe that we are all connected and one in a purpose. One in this experience, that what I do affects you and what you do affects me, because we're all one. So we're all intertwined in this one experience. So in my religious upbringing, we called that one in purpose. So I believe that we're all one, and that we're one in purpose. We came here to earth to experience. We are all magical beings, experiencing this physical world. And so we are all one. At the same time, this is the idea that I received when I asked for higher truth. There's also this thing called opposition in all things. Just like when you have feelings, you can choose which side of the feeling. Like when I feel nervous, I feel it in my tummy, and I can choose to say, oh my gosh, I feel nervous, or I can choose to say, oh my gosh, I feel excited, because the sensation is the same in my body. So they're the opposites in the same situation. Just like in a really good situation, there are people that can find the negative in it. And in a really bad situation, there are people that can find the positive in it, because it's perspective and what you choose to look for. The same thing happens with all of these other things that people teach are truths. The problem is that we're human, having these human experiences where we're in a linear world. And we're dealing with concepts that are not linear. You cannot say this is truth and the only truth, because you're going to exclude a lot of things. So there's this thing where like attracts like. That is a truth. But there's also opposites attract, which is also a truth. And they seem to counteract each other, but they don't really. And so the same thing kind of happens with the God concept in my understanding. Because when I asked, I got told opposites attract. And then I realized just as we're all one, we're also all separate. And so I still choose to see this God. There are some differences in my view than what a lot of people are raised with. First of all, I think he is a 100% unconditional God. There are people, when they argue this God concept, they eliminate the possibility of God because they've been taught that God is this judgmental being. And I don't really see, I mean, like, I do see that there could be a judgment there. But I feel like that most of the judgments are judgments we put upon ourselves, if not all of them. And I want you to think about this. When you are vibrating in an amazing, peaceful way, and you're just full of joy and full of these amazing vibrations, how do you feel when you're with somebody who's at a low vibration? It feels very uncomfortable because you're not a match. The opposite. Now imagine that you are in this, like, I feel shame, I feel like small, I feel like this horrible, horrible being, and I've put all these judgments on myself. So I'm feeling very small and very dark and heavy. And I've died, and now it's time to go be with God. And God is this incredibly bright being who has let go of all of these earthly judgments, who has no need for them. He knows everything. He perceives life in an unconditional way. He has so much love. And so he's this incredible being. And how, if I'm in this like heavy place, how can I stand to be with him? I think the number one reason why we don't get to make it to certain places after we die has nothing to do with God or his judgments. I think that those terms were given in the scriptures and given to man because that's where man's understanding was capable of receiving. But I really think that that really boils down to the law of attraction, the vibration. We cannot vibrate in the same space as God. And so that's why we don't make it to heaven and why we receive judgment. That's my belief about that. So I believe that we're all one, and I believe that we're all separate. And I do believe very much so in a separate being. In fact, I believe that there is a God in heaven, and I believe there is a goddess, his wife, in heaven, and they both love me and support me immensely. That is my belief, and I choose to keep it. Okay. So now let's move on to the universe, because this one is kind of an interesting concept, and it's kind of crazy in some ways to think about it. It's one of those things that like can blow the mind, in my opinion. If you're not ready to understand it, you may only get bits and pieces of it, and you may just reject pieces of it altogether. So the book that I was reading talks about the universe. Basically, everything that you're experiencing is a universe. And so what you do and choose and how you create things affects your universe. Yeah. Okay. Our universe, I believe that there are an infinite number of universes. I have no clue how many uni- um, positive vibes. Speak your truth. Thank you. Thanks, positive vibes. So I believe that each being on this planet has their own universe. Everything is kind of like the butterfly effect. If something happens in one part of the world, it affects everybody. So when I change my vibrations, it 100% changes my experience. Um, when I'm vibrating in a very positive way, I attract into my experience, into my universe, powerful, powerful, positive things. And because I'm vibrating it, that the synchronicities happen and people and things and ideas and everything's put in place when I'm ready to receive. And the law of attraction is very powerful. I agree. I also, because I do believe in a separate being that is God, I also believe there is an overall universe. That we all have our own universes, and then there's God, and He has a universe. And so when we talk about universe, we could be talking about either or, and maybe we're talking about both at the same time. Just things to think about, things to consider. I think that it's really important for us to understand that um, what's my truth may not be your truth. And hi, Cliff. Thank you. You have a great day too. So what was I saying? I was saying that my truth is my truth. And it may not resonate as truth with you, and that's okay. And the other thing that happens is sometimes we hear something and we're not ready for the concepts because we're missing pieces between. And so maybe it's a higher truth, but we're not ready for it until we get some of those other truths in there. And so when we first hear it, we're like, nope, not true. And that's okay. It's really, truly okay. The way I see it is anything and everything that makes you feel amazing, that there's a peaceful, loving, joyful, blissful state. And if you are feeling that, then go for it. I don't even care if it is 100% opposite of my beliefs. If that's how you're feeling, then I want you to feel that way. And I want you to hold those truths that keep you in that place. If you ever get to a point where your truths aren't good for you, let them go and choose new truths. It's pretty incredible that we have this ability to choose what we believe and to choose to upgrade our beliefs and choose to question beliefs. And when somebody gives us beliefs, we can choose to question them and we can choose to keep them. I think it's incredible and wonderful. So I just wanted to share with you my thoughts on this and let you guys then, take what you will and use it if you want to. Remember to have an amazing day. Thank you, guys, for watching. Positive vibes. I'm guessing your name is Kenny because Cliff called you Kenny. I feel like we all come from the same fabric of the universe. And that's an interesting way to look at it. I'm going to ponder that one for a while and see how I feel about that. I do believe that we all come from the same place, and I do believe that place is a great source of love. So, yeah. Anyway, remember to let your light shine and be the incredible you that you were designed to be. And I will see you guys next time. Thanks, guys, for watching live, and I'll see you guys again soon.